"Sir, step out of the vehicle," Officer Daniels shouted, eyes full of contempt. 72-year-old Harold barely had time to ask why before he was thrown onto the hood of his own car. The crowd gasped, not because he was being arrested, but because they saw what the officer secretly dropped into Harold's coat pocket. He thought he could get away with it, but he didn't know Harold was no ordinary old man. It was a quiet Monday afternoon in Atlanta. The sun was high-traffic calm. Harold, a retired science teacher and war veteran, was on his way home from visiting his granddaughter. He always wore his pressed hat, walked with a cane, and drove his classic Buick with pride. But to Officer Daniels, Harold was just another suspicious black man. He had been watching Harold from the corner store parking lot, and as Harold pulled out of the gas station, Daniels flicked on his lights. "License and registration," he barked. Harold handed it over, calm and respectful, but Daniels' next move wasn't lawful. It was hateful. "You mind stepping out of the car?" Daniels asked, already opening the door as Harold leaned against the car. Daniels reached into his coat pocket and slightly pulled out a small plastic bag of white powder. "You're under arrest for possession of narcotics," Daniels declared. "What? That's not mine." Harold protested. The nearby onlookers gasped. One woman began recording on her phone. Daniels turned to the growing crowd. "This man is dangerous. Step back," but the woman kept filming. "No, you step back. We saw what you did." Harold's eyes filled with tears, not from fear but from rage. He had lived through segregation, marched for civil rights, taught generations of kids to believe in justice. And now at 72, this was how the system treated him. Daniels roughly handcuffed Harold, forcing him down to his knees. "Do you even know who I am?" Harold asked softly, his voice shaking. "Oh, I know exactly what you are," Daniels muttered under his breath. "Those words, what you are, they weren't about guilt, they were about color." And as Daniels shoved Harold into the back of the police cruiser, he laughed. "You'll rot in jail, old man. Say goodbye to your clean record." But that night, as Harold sat in his cold cell, something unexpected happened. A voice echoed from the hallway. "Mr. Harold Green." "Yes, you've got a lawyer, and he's not just any lawyer. He says you taught him science in 1994. Meet Marcus Bell, once a shy, bullied teen in Harold's class. Now one of Atlanta's most powerful civil rights attorneys. When he saw the video of Harold's arrest online, Marcus dropped everything. He didn't see a criminal. He saw his hero, his former teacher. The man who once paid for his lunch every day for a year, Marcus drove straight to the jail. "You're not spending another night in here, Mr. Green, not on my watch." Daniels walked in, smug. Wearing mirrored sunglasses and chewing gum, the prosecutor began. "Officer Daniels, please describe the arrest. I pulled him over for erratic driving, found narcotics in his coat pocket." Marcus stood. "Did you see him put the drugs there?" Daniels smirked. Didn't need to. They were right there, but Marcus had a surprise. "Your Honor," Marcus said, "we'd like to submit Exhibit A video evidence from the arrest filmed by a bystander." The court went silent. The video played on the screen. Daniels could be seen approaching Harold and subtly dropping the packet into his coat pocket. Gasps echoed through the room. The judge's eyes widened. Daniels jumped up. "That's edited, that's fake." Marcus didn't blink, then explain why 3 other angles, including one from a nearby store security camera, show the same thing. Daniels fell silent. His face turned ghostly pale. The judge banged the gavel. "Officer Daniels, you are now under investigation for evidence, tampering, false arrest, and civil rights violations." Daniels tried to protest, but it was too late. He was escorted out in handcuffs. Harold sat quietly, hands folded, watching justice unfold. He didn't smile, he didn't gloat, but his eyes, they shone with quiet power after the trial. Reporters surrounded Harold. "How do you feel, sir?" Harold looked into the camera. "I've been fighting since the 60s. I won't stop now, but this time I didn't fight alone." Behind him stood Marcus Bell and the bystanders who recorded everything, a community that stood up when the system tried to break him within weeks. Daniels was fired, facing criminal charges. The police department issued a public apology. Harold, he filed a civil lawsuit and won $3.8 million in damages, but he didn't keep it all. He started a nonprofit, the Green Foundation for Justice, providing legal support to black elders falsely accused. Harold stood at the ribbon cutting of his new center, surrounded by young lawyers, activists, and the very kids he once taught. Never think you're too small to fight back, never think you're too old to rise, and never ever let hate win. The crowd applauded. Tears flowed. One student whispered to another, "That's Mr. Green, he's a real legend. If this story moved you, if you believe in standing up against..." Drop a comment right now. Tell us, what would you have done if you witnessed that moment?